Hey guys, it's Victoria and welcome back to FemmeHead. We are in our basement. My basement, not your guys' basement. Theo is napping right now, so I can sit down and film this video for you. Happy 2020. Is that what people say? Happy New Year. Today I want to talk about traveling with a baby. I am by no means an expert. Did I turn the volume on? I am by no means an expert when it comes to traveling with a baby, but I have gone on 3 trips now with Theo in the past. Well, he's almost 5 months now. I just want to share my experience with you and things I've learned. Traveling with a baby is different than traveling with a toddler, which I don't have experience with. And I know babies are different at different stages depending on their age. I've broken today's video up into a couple categories. I'm going to talk about packing. I'm going to talk about getting to the airport and getting to your gate, the actual flights, and when you're at your destination. Packing. Thankfully, baby stuff, baby clothes. Let's be specific. Baby clothes take up very little room because they're so itty bitty and cute. That's nice because everything else they require takes up so much space. For how tiny they are, it's amazing how much stuff you have to bring with you. They just require a lot of stuff. And I know some people are much more like minimal when they travel. When it comes to having a baby, I'd rather just have his stuff, but I don't bring the whole house, if that makes sense. I pack all of Theo and my own stuff in my carry-on. Thankfully, I'm a pretty minimalist packer myself, so I have plenty of room in my suitcase for him as well. I always like to make a packing list before I actually pack. I look at things like the weather of our destination, how long we're going to be there, any sort of like special events or activities we're going to be doing that require outfits or gear. And then there's big items like, what are they going to sleep in? Are you going to bring their car seat? Are you going to bring their stroller? And so far we have brought all 3 on every single trip. His bassinet that he sleeps in is actually a travel bassinet. It's actually a travel crib with a bassinet attachment, and I've talked about it before, but it's well worth the money because it's so compact and light. It folds up into a backpack, so you can carry it onto the flight, but we've always just checked it. And then everywhere we've gone, we've been in a car, so we've had to have his car seat. I'm sure there's places where you could go and just use public transportation, so you wouldn't need a car seat. And then there's your backpack, aka your diaper bag, because it is your baby's bag, not your own. Even if you want to have hobbies and do work on the plane or while you travel, you don't have room for it because diapers and pacifiers and bottles and toys and blankets and changes of clothes and you name it, like your backpack's just kind of taken over. I can still and do put my laptop in my backpack, but besides that, some snacks, some chapstick, some headphones, it's all just Theo stuff, and that's okay. This goes without saying, and you do this when you leave the house anyways, but bring an extra sleeper or 2 for your baby and put that in the backpack. I always put that in his little like diaper changing bag within the backpack because poop explosions happen, vomit happens, and it's always when you're least prepared or it's the most inconvenient. It's just good to have an extra jammies. And I will say, when traveling, and mostly right now at his age, he's just in jammies all the time because it's so much easier. The little sleep and play zippy sort of things, just those are so much easier to have when you're actually traveling and flying or driving, whatever, because if something like does happen and you have to change it all out, it's just a lot easier to have one item of clothing versus a cute little outfit. And also diaper changes are easier. And even though I almost always have my rolly carry-on with me when we're flying, I try to have everything I'm going to need on the actual flight in my backpack so I don't have to mess with my carry-on suitcase, because trying to get into your suitcase on a plane, it's doable and it's fine, but it's not super easy, and if you're holding a baby, it's even less easy. Try to have everything you're gonna need in your backpack. Next category is getting to the airport and to your gate. This goes without saying, just give yourself some extra time with the baby. My dear husband likes to just rock up to the airport and walk right onto the plane and like give himself no extra time, and he tries to do that now still, and it's been fine, but it's just more stressful, and I would prefer to just give myself more time to get there, make sure everything gets where it needs to go, and heaven forbid we forget something. I've forgotten his swaddle before and driven home to get it, and thankfully I had enough time because I gave myself enough time. And now that you have a bunch of extra crap thanks to your baby, you're probably going to have to check stuff, and that requires you to be at the airport earlier than just walking onto your plane and actually physically carrying in all that stuff from the car to the check-in counter is not an easy task, especially if you're the one doing it because your husband's parking the car. Make a game plan on how you're going to transport this massive amount of stuff from your car to the check-in counter. Like, who's going to carry what's going to sit on top of what suitcase, who's going to wear what backpack and big stroller bag and car seat bag. It's just good to have a game plan. But oh, the lightness and freedom you feel once you do check all of the big items and you just have your baby, your backpack, and your carry-on. I think most, if not all, airlines allow you to check a car seat and a stroller. And depending on the age of your baby, you might want to take your stroller with you and just gate check it. But at Theo's age, it's just easy for us to check it with all of our bags and stuff at the check-in counter. And then I just have him in the carrier. If you have pump milk that you're going to bring through security with you for on the plane, just give yourself a couple extra minutes because they're gonna have to check it. And sometimes they might want to test it, I've heard, but the one time I've done it, they just looked and saw, yeah, it's milk, closed up my little cooler, and sent me on my way. All right, the actual flight. If you're flying internationally, I recommend requesting one of those bassinets that go on like the bulkhead bins, that the seats where there's the big walls. I don't know if you've ever seen those. It's really nice to be able to put your baby into that. My only recommendation is to like sanitize it and wipe it down because I don't think they clean them. And I had a flight attendant say that to me. But if you can't get one of those, it's not the end of the world. You can just have them sleep in their carrier. You're going to most likely have to call in and add a lap child to your ticket. And depending on if it's an international flight or domestic flight, they might charge you a small fee. I think for our flights to England, it costs like $75 to add him. But I think domestically, he's been free so far to add to our tickets. Most airlines are gonna have family boarding, which was really nice because if you want the extra time to get in and get settled, you can. But also if you wanna wait till the last minute to board, you can also do that too. Just know yourself and know your baby. Feeding them during takeoff and landing is going to make them adjusting and your ears popping so much easier. I think it's the actual swallowing of the milk that helps their ears adjust. It's pretty obvious when you're taking off when to start feeding them, but for landing, when your ears start popping, that's when you want to start feeding them. Anyone is going to help you if you ask, even if you don't ask, so don't hesitate if you need help, whether that's putting your carry-on in the overhead bin, picking up something you've dropped, opening a door for you, or if they see you struggling, they might just stop what they're doing and help you. The first time we flew with Theo, we had all of our crap. Michael was gonna go park the car because we were running late, and so I was gonna have to carry everything from the car to the check-in counter. And you could have seen me struggling from a mile away, I'm sure. It was a disaster, and I had 2 separate people stop to help me take my stuff to the check-in counter, which was such a lovely thing because I was just like dragging it because it was all falling off of wherever I was carrying it. I was a hot mess. Bring some hand sanitizer, bring some sort of like wet wipe situation thing, and just wipe everything down, wipe your baby's hands down, sanitize your hands. Planes are kind of germ centrals, and it's okay to be a bit of a germaphobe when you have a baby because they're more susceptible to illness and grossness, and they stick their little hands and everything, and they put their mouths on everything. I read an article about germiest places on the plane. Tray table was one of them, and the seat was one of them. The heat from the bodies on the seat keep the germs alive, so just wipe everything. This is a weird piece of advice, but know how to soothe and calm your baby, which you probably do. Whatever like weird technique it is, don't feel weird about using that on a plane. Whether you have to lap the plane 25 times or stand there and like rock and shush and bounce them, people aren't really gonna care what you do, especially if it keeps your baby from screaming. And people are so much more forgiving to parents with babies than we think they will be. If they can see you actively trying to calm your baby and they're screaming, they're gonna be fine with it. I mean, if you have an out of control toddler that you're just letting run rampant and create chaos and you're just sitting there not doing anything about it, you might piss some people off. When we were coming back from England, it had just been a long day of flights and travel, and we were on our very last flight from Detroit to Des Moines. We had been upgraded to first class. Lovely. We're sitting next to this very nice looking, businessy looking man, and Theo was over it. He's usually a really good flyer and traveler, but at this point, he was over it. He was like, "Give me the F off this plane. I don't want to be here anymore." It was a smaller plane, so there's not really a place I could like take him to calm him down. And it's so narrow, it was really hard to like walk up and down the aisle, so I just had to like stand by my like seat and try to like bounce him and shush him in the carrier and get him to go to sleep, and he just was over it. And I was like stressed because I thought this guy we were sitting next to, like, annoyed. I thought I was annoying him, like, who brings a baby into first class, and I was probably ruining his fancy first class experience, and I was just like in my mind stressing about it. So I get off the plane, Michael goes ahead to go to the bathroom, I have to wait for my gate check bag, and I'm standing next to this nice businessman who I thought hated me, and you know what he said?
He did such a good job on that plane.
And I was like, thank you. I could have sworn he was like annoyed by us, but he went on to talk about his 2 kids and traveling with them, things you'll do on a plane when you wouldn't normally do at home. And so even if people don't have children on a plane, it doesn't mean they don't have children at home, nieces or nephews, grandchildren, friends who have children, or pity for you for traveling with a baby. There's at least 1 bathroom on planes that have a fold down change table, but just bring some sort of like mat or blanket or towel or something to lay down, because airplane bathrooms are one of the grodiest places. And finally, don't forget to take care of yourself on the flight. Stay hydrated, drink lots of water, make sure you have some snacks or food with you. For the same reason, nourish and take care of yourself, because you're dehydrated and hungry and hangry. It's gonna make taking care of a baby on a plane so much less enjoyable. I also like to, before the flights, download podcasts, audiobooks, Netflix shows or movies, and just have those on my phone to watch or listen to while I'm like pacing with him or bouncing him or holding him while he sleeps. And finally, at your destination, my biggest piece of advice is to just get on some sort of schedule that mirrors your schedule at home as quickly as possible. You have to be flexible, give them some grace, especially if you're going into different time zones and it's just off and you've had a long travel day. Be flexible and okay with it not being exactly the same, but not having a schedule at all and just throwing it out the window is not going to serve you. The next thing to ask yourself is, can your baby nap anywhere? Depending on how many naps a day they take, of course. In their car seat, can they sleep in their stroller, can they sleep in some sort of carrier, or can they only sleep at home in a certain environment? That's important to know. If they can only sleep at home in a certain environment, it might be a good thing to try to work on getting them to nap when you're out and about at home before your trip. Otherwise, you're going to be a bit tethered to wherever you're staying, but it's not the end of the world. If you are, you just schedule your days around that. Thankfully, I can usually just throw Theo in the carrier and he'll conk out and take a nap, and it might not be as long as normal, it might not be as restful, or it might be super restful, so it just kind of depends. But the carrier is usually where he naps when we're traveling. Sometimes he'll nap in a stroller, sometimes he'll nap in his car seat, sometimes he won't, and that's okay. While you are wherever you're staying, try to recreate your baby's sleep environment that they're used to at home, because that's just going to make your nights and naps there easier. Do they like to sleep in the dark? If so, how can you make whatever room you're staying in darker? When we were in Phoenix, we just went to Target and got a couple blackout curtains and some like binder clips so we could clip them onto the Airbnb's blinds that were complete crap and didn't block out any light. And Michael and I like sleeping in a darker environment anyways, but at the Airbnb, they had a walk-in closet through the bathroom, and we ended up just putting them in there because the street was kind of loud. So you do you, find your best situation. Bring your sound machine, bring your swaddle, sleep sack. If you just breastfeed your baby, then you don't really need to bring any feeding things, but if you bottle feed, pump and feed, any sort of that, just make sure you have all of your supplies. My latest discovery that I got right before our England trip was a manual hand pump, one of the $30 Medela ones that you can get anywhere, and it has been a game changer to having to pump and bottle feed him. I will now just leave my electric pump at home and take that with me. Bring your bottle cleaning brush, bring some sort of dish soap or whatever you use to clean, or you can pick some stuff up once you get there. Just make sure you have everything to clean them and keep them all sanitized. And I also bring a small cooler to keep any expressed milk in, as well as his reflux medication and anything that needs to stay cool and refrigerated. And the last thing I'll say about traveling with a baby, every baby child is different, but babies love new things. At least Theo does. Theo loves traveling. He loves seeing new people, meeting new people, seeing other babies, seeing new sights. He loves it all. He likes being outside, going on walks. He's so content to just be thrown in the carrier or in his stroller and just walk around and see new things. So don't be afraid to head out and try new things and do new things while you are traveling. Don't feel like you're tethered to your hotel room. If shit does hit the fan, you can always bail and just go back to wherever, but give it a chance and go out and try new things, because you'll probably be surprised. I'm sweating from this fireplace right now, but I think that's most of the tips and lessons I've learned so far. I've made a what I pack video for Theo and I. If you're curious about that, I'll link that down below and put it up here. Happy 2020. I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.